to be honest. Something's wrong with my face. Now I can't even go live on Facebook. My account's locked. Oh, well, that's how it is, rounduppers. Oh, well. Roundup family. Family. You remember? Do you remember that rap group, Roundup? I know Smitty don't know who the heck I'm talking about. It's a rap group called Family. Smitty said, who is that?
You're right. I'm ignorant.
There's a rap group he used to be with for real. Roundup, thank you for joining us. I'm live with my boy, my partner in crime. Well, nothing illegal, but
no crime.
Partner in no crime. So funny. I also have my account is temporarily locked.
Right, bro.
What that's about. Roundup, give me a minute. We got to bring everybody on up in cheer. Thank you so much for joining us, Rounduppers. They're showing up for your boy. Don't forget, next week we'll have Papa himself, Ron LeGrand.
The man. The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that I'm able to get him on here. You know what? There would be no Chris Haskins if it wasn't for this man right here. I promise you.
Thank you, Chris.
I wouldn't even be here.
You are far too I want to say
truthful. Yeah, you're right. I'm far too truthful. Roundup. It'd be no Chris. I promise you. It would be no Chris Haskins. Matter of fact, Ron is because of you, because you know the people that I emailed them. But still, when you talk, I promise you, when you talk to people like them, first thing they want to know, get to the money. How are we making money?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
People like Ron LeGrand, they speak money. They want to know how we're going to make money. So if you're not talking about that, you got about 30 seconds, maybe a minute to get to the money with them. But today, Roundup, this is Chris Haskins with therealestateroundup.com, hanging out with my boy Smitty.
Thanks, Chris. My pleasure. Thank you for having me over.
Yes, we are actually here. This is at our square table. We do deals here. We do put the numbers on the board. And I want to encourage you, Roundup, get a whiteboard. If you don't have a whiteboard, go get one. My life really changed, and I'm sure my wife can attest to that. When I put these boards up, that's when your boy's career really started to take off. But my mission is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. But you ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing unless you have your health. So in my world, health rhymes with wealth. And, you know, I'm usually talking about how to make money, but Smitty here not only makes money, but I have seen this man. Let me tell you what happened before we bring him in. Let me tell you what happened. He showed up at my doorstep a few weeks back. My kids answered the door. They're like, Dad, some dude's here at the door. I'm like, that's Mr. Todd. What? That's Mr. Todd. He had lost so much weight, Roundup. I promise you. They did not even recognize him. So we've got some before pictures to share with you today, and Todd's going to give you his story. Unbelievable story. I mean, I have watched this man just literally melt the pounds off, and you know I'm not here to waste your time. So he's got me on the things he cut out of his diet. Everywhere we go, when we're eating dinner, remember we're in North Carolina, people want to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? So here today, Smitty's going to share his secrets, what he has done to lose all this weight and to get healthy and all that good stuff. Smitty, give us a little bit about your background, my friend, where you are and what you're doing, all that good stuff.
Whew, how far back do you want me to go?
Give us a short version. Short version. Don't give us a long version.
Short version, I grew up poor on a farm
All right.
in upstate New York. And I bring that up because it plays into this part of it. And I'll share that. It's something I was never aware of, but my addiction to sugar goes way back. And I see I've got a fellow Bright Lifer on here, Connie.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Connie. Thank you for joining. But so I joined the Navy. I was almost 25. I was an old man. I wasn't Pops because the guy in my boot camp was like 37. He was Pops, but I was 25. Joined the Navy and pretty much saw the world for about 28 years. I retired just shy of 28 years in the Navy 4 years ago. And also kind of playing into this, what happens when a lot of people retire from the military is they put on weight because you don't have the required physical training every day or every week. And the semi-annual in the Navy, I don't know about in the other branches, but in the Navy, you have a semi-annual physical performance test that you've got to perform. So you got to stay in shape for that. You got to work out at least somewhat. You've got to maintain, and there are weight standards. And so you got to maintain those. And I can remember the first doctor's appointment that I had after I got out of the Navy. The doctor cautioned me, don't do what I see so frequently, and that's where a retiree puts on 30 to 40 pounds.
Wow.
And I already had borderline high triglycerides. So I didn't have to go on meds for that, but I was like right at that point.
Okay.
But I did put on some weight.
Coming out of the military.
About 10 pounds.
Okay, cool. So you're already.
So I was already heavy. I was at the top end of the weight standards.
Gotcha.
And in the military, I can remember so the program that I use is called Bright Line Eating. And I can remember there's a young lady over in Naples, Italy. She's in the Navy band over there. She's joined Bright Line Eating as well. And she was celebrating because it was the first time she didn't have to be roped and choked, which is where, so there's height weight standards. And if you aren't within that height weight standard, then they have to measure your neck and your waist if you're a male and calculate what your body fat standards are, or percentage is. If you're a woman, I think there's another measurement that they have. But anyway, if you fall in the height weight standard, in my case, I was 5'8". I had to be under 172 pounds or 170. I was at 172 when I was in my best shape. A lot of that was muscle, but the standards don't count for that. So from pretty much the day I entered the Navy, I've always had to be roped and choked. There were a couple of periods when I didn't have to be. But
that's crazy.
But I was still within standard. But it was by that measurement standard rather than just a height weight.
So standard. At your highest weight, how tall are you?
I'm 5'8", a little less now because gravity pulls down on you as you age. It does.
I didn't know that.
Well, they have disc strength. You know, discs.
So what's your max height, Smitty? I'm sorry, max weight.
Max weight.
Yeah.
Max weight was 215.
Max.
And we'll share a picture.
215?
215. 215.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I just cannot believe you, Red. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, Roundup.
So when I retired from the Navy, I was right around 198 or so, maybe 204.
And you're now what?
I am now 157. This morning I was 157. And my goal range, so I have a goal range and I monitor it because I don't want to go back up. So it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And because if you do anything to lose weight and then you stop, you're going to gain it back. Inevitably. It's just a matter of how fast.
Let me bring these pictures up if you don't mind. Roundup. Let's take a look at what Smitty used to look like. I'm getting ready to blow your mind. And a lot of our videos, you can go back. If you go through the channel, you can see Smitty start to melt away. Especially what an eviction we did back in 2017, 2016, 2017. I'm just plain fat. Oh my Lord. So this is what Smitty Roundup what he used to look like here. Hold on. Oops. Oh, there he is. So January of 16, I was on terminal leave from the Navy. That's when I was starting. My son was trying to convince me to grow a beard. So I had a little scruff. That's Tyson. He's since passed. He was a friend's dog. Wow. He was a big old baby. And good gracious. There's the belly. August of 2017. I was on the we had just set that trampoline up for my niece, and I was out on the trampoline with her. Now, were you
My
sticking out your stomach right
I
now?
was not. I mean, I didn't know that my wife took that picture. I had cropped out my niece on it. My niece was on the other side.
She set you up.
That was at my top. That was right 2/15, August 2017.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
So we got one more 9 months.
And there's our two babies, Coco and Bella.
Mm.
My dogter and my granddogter.
Nice.
That one was in March of last year. So I was 1 month into the weight loss program at that point.
Gotcha. Unreal. So roundup, Smitty and I are going to go back and forth. If you're just joining us, this is Chris Haskins hanging out with my boy Smitty, sharing with you his journey of how I just seen the man lose 50 pounds. Get your questions answered by the expert right there in the chat box, so Brother Smitty can go over this. And we wanted to say we're not doctors, or he's not a doctor. No professional. You're not giving any professional advice. This is just your walk.
This is, yeah, exactly.
All right.
And the program that.
We'll get to that. We'll
Okay.
get to that in a minute. But he's going to give you we got some goodies for you at the end. If you want to go ahead and go there, you can go to the link. But we've got a program for you, and he's going to show you how he did it. All right. Let's see. So y'all saw the pictures. Smitty, what made you, as Tony Robbins says, what had the leverage over you, gave you that why that you said, this is what I will do?
So I mentioned part of it. My doctor telling me, warning me, don't put on the weight.
Yeah, but that's like saying don't drive fast.
Yeah, it's true, but that played into it. The biggest part was having family members in the hospital for weight-related, nutrition-related issues, and I just don't want to be the I want to enjoy my retirement. I'm like quasi-retired right now, but when I choose to just be on the beach, I want to be able to enjoy it and not suffer in pain or fight diabetes. And just seeing loved ones that are fighting that, I just said, I need to come up with something.
So you were able to forecast yourself thinking about watching your family?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, that's serious.
Just look at someone who, I'm 56 now. At the time I was 55. Just looking at someone at 75 and saying, I don't want to be there in 20 years.
Yeah. Wow. I bet that weighed on you.
It did.
So
big time.
Obviously, a lot of us can see things coming, but it's almost like that eating that Big Mac. You don't gain the weight instantly. Like you don't die immediately, So what made you, obviously you've had this thought over the years. Was it something in particular that kicked you in the butt? Like this has to be done right now. I know watching your family, no doubt you just didn't see them one time.
And anybody who's put on some weight and dieted or tried to lose it has typically done it yo-yoed up and down. Again, they'll go on a diet for a while, lose some weight, stop, fall right back into the same routine. And I was in great shape my first few years in the Navy, and I was down to 165 at that time. Very, very active. But over time, life happens.
It does.
And I lost track of that. I became less active. I wasn't riding my bicycle all the time. And so my activity level went down, but I didn't really lower my food intake. So I was blessed. It came on slowly, but I was still creeping up there.
So you're able to forecast.
Yeah.
So the magic question is today, what were the two things that I know you told me about this stuff? What are the two enemies that you cut out, Smitty, that kind of helps you start this thing?
The two enemies are sugar and flour. So, our diets, if you look at where we are now compared to where our ancestors are, or even our family members a generation or two ago, we did not have anywhere near the sugar in the diets 20, 30, 40 years ago that we do now. And I can remember back in the 1980s when fat was the enemy. So the cookie makers, the commercial cookie makers started toting no fat.
No fat or low fat.
But that took flavor out. So what they have to do, they had to boost sugar. So over the years, and it's all business. People are in business to make money.
Yep.
The food manufacturers, which I've gotten a real basic feeling for food. And a lot of what is marketed as food isn't really food.
Yeah.
You're consuming it, but it's not really food. It's not nourishing you. Yeah, not nourishing you.
Flour and sugar.
So the two, flour and sugar. So sugar, we all need sugar because the brain actually functions on sugar, but an excess of sugar will actually trigger the brain into addiction mode. And it works on the same centers that crack cocaine works on. So it can have that much of an impact on you. Now, what I mentioned with growing up working on a farm, my family didn't own a farm. We lived out in the country. I worked on farms, surrounding farms. And I can remember thinking back, that.
Spelled that wrong. Thank you.
Oh yeah, you are.
Sorry about that. That was a good catch.
But I can remember vividly back when I was 16, 17, I used to sweat profusely, not just in the summer. I mean, it would be in the winter. And the farmer I worked for, he said, Todd, he's like, you sweat way too much. You need to have your doctor look at this because there's something that's not right. And I can remember we talked to the doctor. I was back then diagnosed with spontaneous hypoglycemia, which
that?
It's where your sugar is hypo high or low. Hypo would be low. So your sugar actually drops. So you get a and they're talking blood sugar. So I had to go through a 6-hour glucose tolerance test, which you drink a sugary drink, and then you're in the doctor's office for 6 hours, and they're taking your blood periodically and measuring the actual glucose level.
Gotcha.
And then that test is still used, and it's used sometimes for diabetics. It's used for other things, but that was kind of the fad, if you would. If you look back over things, they don't diagnose people with that so much anymore.
Yes, sir.
But nothing. I mean, I went on a diet, and I cut back. I lost weight because of it. I can remember, I used to commute to and from college in my senior year in high school with a group of us. I can remember eating my specific lunch that was on that it was a hypoglycemic lunch. But anyways.
I remember kids that had special lunches when I was coming up too.
And I mean, the reason that I say I know, that was one indicator that I was addicted to sugar. But also I used to be extremely active. I'd go in the wintertime, I'd go cross country skiing with a friend. We'd come back to his house. His mom was a fantastic baker and always had a big old plate of Toll House cookies. And guess who could devour the whole plate of Toll House cookies?
You.
Me. It wasn't one or two. And it was like once I had a bite, I couldn't stop. I mean, I'd feel full and I couldn't stop.
Wow.
And you mentioned the other pain that got me to this. My, last year, so December 2019, December of 18, January 2019, my wife Jane would look over at me in the evening, and I'd be sitting there, I had just finished dinner, and I'd be eating some popcorn, eating some nuts, going back, it was like I was wearing a path between my chair in the living room and the kitchen, getting something, something salty, something sugary,
Wow.
And it wouldn't stop. I mean, I physically felt full. My gut felt full, but my brain was saying, you need this, you need this, you need this.
Is that because of no, you said
that's these addictions. That's how they work on the brain.
You got some other notes here. Tell me about it. You're saying it affects your mood. Does it affect your mood too?
Sugar, yeah. When you're eating an excess quantity of sugar, it is going to affect your mood. You're going to get a lot bigger swings in mood. And typically it will act as a depressant. It's not hyping you up. You'd think sugar is hyping you up, but you get such an overload that it's actually depressing you.
Gotcha.
And you see that a lot in sugar addicts.
And you got some other things that are
Yep.
problems with sugar. Go.
So concentration, it will affect concentration. A lot of times you just will not be able to concentrate and try to do some work, and your mind like is every which way. It will affect memory. And these memory can be more long-term, especially if you get into diabetes, because that's one of the things is that the studies have shown that there is an actual deterioration of the brain due to diabetes. It can happen before that. And then, so tied with that would be, overall mental capacity, which, is closely related to memory.
Now, let me ask you, Smitty. These two enemies, but I know you guys, as I was, you have to be excited about how this man has lost his weight. I'm just watching him melt off Roundup. If you're just joining us, hanging out with Brother Smitty, he's telling you today how he lost 50 pounds. Get your questions answered over there in the chat box. He's going to break down exactly, he's doing it right now, what he did, and some solutions for you. Further, there's a link below that we're going to send you to where you can sign up for the same program for you. Is that cool?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, so Sugar, tell me how mentally, how do we get well, I know you've got the whole program, but are there substitutes that you could possibly use? Does the program go with substitutes, Smitty, or do you have to figure that out on your own?
Oh, no, the program was developed by a doctor, actually a psychologist.
Gotcha.
Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
She is she was a full tenured professor. She's given up her tenure because this is really her passion.
Gotcha.
And her life now. She is still an adjunct professor at the University of Rochester, in Rochester, New York.
Tell us about her a little bit, Smitty. I know you told me a little bit before about her addictions and.
Yeah, she had some serious addictions, some substance abuse issues, and she shares that freely. And and in one of the links, if you click on it, she'll discuss it. And she talks about the science, and that's what really speaks to me. I was a Navy nuke, so very scientific engineering, mindset, and Susan, she typically she doesn't go by Dr. Thompson, although she is Dr. Thompson. She typically goes by Susan. She shares all the science. She shares the studies, and she is a scientist herself. So even now, I'm in the research program. One thing that Bright Line Eating is very successful with is
what's the name of
continued success.
What's the name of this program again, Smitty?
Bright Line Eating. And then again, the links below the video would take you right to that. We gave you two links. One, if you're really, you decide, hey, this is something I want to go for. There's a link right there for signing up for the boot camp.
Yep. And
below that, I think we put a link. You can get a webinar that Susan actually goes into the science and how the brain functions, how the brain gets hijacked really by sugar and flour.
Yep, I love it. Roundup. I promise you, I would not be here having this man on Monday Masters if this wasn't something that I think you need. When he showed this stuff to me, I was just walking around bloated. My stomach felt bloated, right? But when these two things here, Roundup, thanks to this man, he showed me how to do this thing. Go ahead, Smitty. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, with flour, there are certain people that are gluten sensitive, and you hear that. I'm not, but flour being powdered, you've taken the grain, which our bodies know how to digest, but when you powder it and are always eating that, it just overloads the body. The body digests it too quickly. That's the problem. So then you get spikes in sugar, the glucose in your blood, and rather than having a slower digestive process. So I don't eat any flour.
Tell us about
stay away
now,
from it.
How the hell do you do that?
For me, it's you can remember. I know. Chris remembers even before I started this. he would be amazed at the size of the salad that I would eat at lunchtime.
Salad master.
I always ate a big salad. So it's just simple foods. Like my breakfast in the morning, I'll have some eggs for protein, or you could have yogurt, whatever you want, a nice clean protein. And I have an ounce of oatmeal. That's a whole grain, so it's going to digest slowly, give you energy for a sustained period of time, and then fruit. So it's not that you can't have sugar; you want natural fruit. And Connie says fruit is awesome and tastes amazing, and it does. And I just happened to see that. It's amazing how that popped up right at the right time. Thank you, Connie. You are so right. And our taste buds get adjusted to different ways of eating as well. Like if I were to try to have a tablespoon or a teaspoon, I wouldn't even say a tablespoon, a teaspoon of sugar right now, I would go freaking nuts, because my taste buds have been acclimated to eating natural fruits. So, I mean, I can't even put sugar on, I can't put table sugar on fruit, or I'd get overloaded, and I don't have any desire. You get an appreciation for the natural taste of fruits. Yeah. So even before this, I mean, I had been eating salads at lunch, and people are like, "You don't want any dressing on that?" Well, no, I use a mix of different vegetables, and I get those individual tastes. You appreciate the taste of a pepper, a bell pepper, red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper.
I love it. Very sweet.
Tomato, cucumber, broccoli.
You grow those cucumbers too.
And yeah, I grow the cucumbers, I grow broccoli. Matter of fact, I picked broccoli today. We are blessed here in Hampton Roads with some beautiful weather.
Here around.
Yeah. And even though I got the broccoli planted late this year, it didn't really head out. The leaves are extremely nutritious, and there's little heads, almost just florets. So I cut a few of those, cut some leaves, chop it all up, put it in my salad.
Nice.
Delicious.
So mentally, where are you, Smitty? Real quick, get your questions in for Smitty in the chat box. Where are you? I want to know mentally when you think, I don't want to eat flour, don't want to eat sugar. What's going on all over here? Because for me, I'm like, I got my pizza, I got my sandwiches, I got my hoagies, cookie, or I mean, I feel like even if I'm eating a soft taco, the wraps are made out of flour. Where are we?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's everywhere.
It is. So I could eat out, and you can eat out and eat brightly, as we call it.
Brightly.
Keeping the lines, no sugar, no flour. And, but I don't even think about it, because I know I write down my food, so it's like goals. You have to write it down, and you have to track it. That is the most successful way, for any program, whether it be your success in business, you've got to have some written goals. So in my case, that's, in this, it's a food journal. I plan out my food. Yes. I don't just go eat anything. Yeah. So I plan out what I'm going to eat. I write it down. So I'm watching my quantities, and this was an, oh my God, eye-opener for me. I didn't realize how much I was overeating. I eat more now, but I'm eating clean, low-calorie, high nutrient dense foods. Yes. So I'm getting the nutrition, but not all those junk calories.
So I think Americans, for me, we eat till we get full, but full of what? Is that what you're saying?
And when you have these addictions, they are telling your brain that you're not full. You will feel a full sensation in your tummy in a lot of cases, but your brain hasn't caught up to that, because these are hijacking your brain. So you just that's what happened to me. Like I said, Jane would look over at me like, what is going on
after dinner?
After dinner.
You know what? My family, we used to have a thing called dinner number 2.
Oh, yeah?
I'm so embarrassed. They'd be like, Dad, what time are we going to get dinner number 2? Oh, my God. What am I doing? What am I doing? All right. We're at 30 minutes here. So the program, Bright Line Eating, they can find more information about that at the link below. And you started when?
I signed up December. Well, I signed up December 2019. The program's
18.
The 18. Excuse me. Thank you.
2020, bro.
Yeah, bring me up. Yeah. So when I go back 2 years like that, or more than a year, it throws me off.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had signed up. The program started officially on January 1st, but I was traveling with you at the end of January, and I didn't think that I would be able to handle it. So I didn't start till February 5th of last year.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah, we were talking about Papa. We were talking about Papa at the beginning. We were at Ron LeGrand's Great American Real Estate Summit at the end of January last year.
Wow.
And that's why I had delayed starting it. But February 5th, I started it. I followed the program exactly. And there is so much support. There's accountability. There's a science-based program. And it's not counting calories, because I can't count calories. I mean, how do I know how many calories are in, this apple or this orange?
That'd be rough. Time consuming too.
But I weigh or measure, so, and that's
everything.
Yep. Everything.
Wow.
There are ways around it. I mean, I can eyeball and do it. It's called a one plate method. So if I were to go to a restaurant, I'd use a one plate method.
Okay. Got some of those tools in there too.
The tools are there. So it made it very simple, very logical, and the key is the support. You need that support.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you, brother Smitty. Round up.
Thank you.
The man himself, Smitty. He's usually behind the scenes doing all the work. Y'all see me in front of the camera chilling. I'm telling you, this is the guy that's in the back on the phone, emailing stuff, make sure the documents are going here, paperwork, drawings.
We try.
People doing up. This is the man. All right. Anything else you want to share before we get some Q&A? I see we got a few came in here. I love questions. Q&A, my favorite part of the day.
Let's see what the questions bring up.
Round up with rolling.
They'll jog my memory.
Rolling with Smitty today. I'm new of nothing. Would like to know about less intimidating. You're talking about real estate. Intimidating deals? I don't know. All deals are something. I mean, you got to deal with something.
That's for sure.
Every deal has a problem. She talks about visual planning. My husband put chalkboards up. That's right. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you.
And I used to be a Navy instructor. I told Chris, I said, it's been since 2000, but I used to be up there. You used to have to handwrite all the notes.
It's no joke. Writing and standing and talking is extremely hard.
Yep.
It's very challenging. Hey, Jermon wants to know, what would you recommend for some substitutes for sugar desserts besides fruits?
I don't do desserts. I do fruit.
But desserts?
I don't eat desserts. So sugar substitutes act on the brain a lot of the same ways that sugar does.
Really?
Yes. So it may be better for like diabetes or something, but as far as the brain goes,
same effect.
So
I didn't know that. So you tell me you're not doing much better when you're using the sugar substitutes.
Correct. I mean, even stevia, which stevia is so potent in sweetness that that can hijack, somebody who's been a sugar addict like me, that can hijack you. It doesn't with me. Monk fruit's another sweetener. But when you get into desserts, a lot of times you're into flour too. Flour. And it doesn't matter what type of flour. Yes, almond flour would be better than, commercial white bleached flour. But it's still powdered so much, it's so fine that the body just digests it too quickly. So I stay away from it. Like I said, I'm not whole foods, plant-based. I still eat meat, but I eat less than I used to. And my dessert would be fruit. Like I'll have, like at lunchtime, I had 6 ounces of fruit. I had apple and a mandarin orange. And a little bit less than 6 ounces.
Well, since you got on this thing, for me, it was like Jamon, and I know I'm so far, I'm like a zero when it comes to diet. He's taught me this thing, but I had to replace it. Like instead of having the sugary foods, I had to I buy a lot of fruit to keep it in here because I know it's easy for me to just go to the fridge and grab a fruit as opposed to grabbing a sweetie, So that kind of helped me. But fruit is the only thing I still like the sugar in that. But Smitty, you didn't tell me about. I want to know, How in the heck do you, when you sit down, I want to know about your mind, because it starts here, just like with real estate. It's starting in your mind. You have an acronym that you have that you kind of, I feel like it's like a shield that you carry around it, so to speak. It was in something.
I don't even
You're like, this is
remember.
not, I don't eat.
Oh, it's not my food.
What is
It's
it?
not my food.
Okay.
Oh, NMF. Not my food.
food.
And that's not mine. That's that is in the Bright Line Eating movement.
This acronym.
Not my food.
It's not his. He thinks he's better than everybody. It's his food. Round up.
So-
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Explain that.
So a Cinnabon sweet roll would be not my food.
Gotcha. It tastes so good.
They do. I remember the taste, so I can savor the memory of the taste and not have it. It used to be I saw that and it's like, if they were over there, it's like, I'm
They're
there.
trying to trick you with what I have here now.
But I just, you get used to it.
Gotcha. Anthony, I remember him or the eviction. Oh yeah, this is him. Yep. This
Yes,
is Smitty,
sir.
the man. Yeah, I do intermittent fasting too, Anthony. That's what I do to keep mine off. Is there any particular flour that you would say stay away from, Smitty?
Really, all flour again, just
Almond
because.
flour, non-bleached, whole.
Well,
It's all processed.
the farther you get away from what the natural substance is,
No flour.
the more detrimental it is. So yeah, no
Flour.
flour. Almond flour, or they're even making riced cauliflower flour now.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I've never used it. I mean, I see like Oprah has pizzas that are made out of
Really?
out of that.
I saw a queso dip that was cauliflower based.
Yeah. Now, ricing the cauliflower, you're not,
Grinding it up.
yeah, it's not getting
Allegedly.
powdered. It's not getting so, but I mean, still, you've got less chewing on it. So the more you chew your foods, the better, because the process of salivation actually is the first part of digestion, the chewing and the saliva.
I didn't know. I learned that lately too. It starts right here. Jamal, what about eating according to your blood type? Do you know anything about that, Smitty?
I don't. I've heard about it, but I don't know. And the Bright Line Eating program is not at all geared towards that.
Gotcha. Roundup is just joining us. Smitty talking about how he lost 50 pounds. If you want to get the program that he has, it's in the link below. If you're ready to get rolling, it's the first link. The second link is just an informational webinar that will tell you more about the program and the doctor that created it.
Right.
I had to share this. I've been how many months have I been begging and pleading with you to bring this onto the Roundup family?
At least 3, probably more.
Roundup. I have been trying to get this man on here. I'm passionate. I'm passionate about financial literacy, but when you did this thing, I'm like, you know what? That's why I had the chef here, just trying to get more healthy in the new year.
There you go. Hey, one thing that kind of jogged my memory, or a thought. Chris works out. You see him on Facebook Live every morning at the gym. And of course, when we travel, I have to get on him to get in the gym, because for some reason that breaks his habit. I'll go in the gym then, and I don't normally work out in the gym here at home.
That's true.
So this didn't happen because I was in the gym busting my butt, and actually because this, eliminating these 2 things is such a change. Dr. Thompson actually tells you, unless you are used to working out consistently every day, and don't start a workout program until you get through this break in addiction and get comfortable in this program, then you can start working out. And it doesn't have to be, crazy in the gym, high intensity training. Just get out and walk, get some motion, some movement.
Get that lymph.
Yep.
Nice. T, tried almond. Have you tried almond flour?
I have, but it was before this program.
Dairy's tough for us too.
Yeah, and now dairy is permitted, and
So you can do dairy.
yeah, because like I will use Greek yogurt I typically use 2%. I'm not worried about fat because actually I monitor everything else. So I do control fats, but I'm not using foods that have lots of sauces and stuff on them that have fat and sugar and flour in them. So, and myself, I'm tolerant of dairy, but I limit it.
Yeah.
I limit it. I do use butter, and I've gone mostly organic because unfortunately, pesticides and herbicides are killing us. They have a long-term effect.
Forever chemicals. I was looking at that yesterday. Roundup gets your questions answered by the man. Lost 50 pounds. 50.
Connie.
50 pounds. I get it. Me too. Ditto. Have had no sugar or flour in 6 months. Wow. Life changing. Down 42 pounds.
Yes.
I have a new life. Met amazing people. Look at that.
And it clears up your brain. I mean, it's not just a change in your physical appearance. It's a change in overall health. You'll see big changes in blood chemistry. I hate to take medicines. So one of my big drivers I didn't talk about in the pain, when we were talking about pain, I hate to take medicines. I did not want to have to go on cholesterol or triglyceride medicines. I did not want to be on blood pressure medicines. And the only I have some arthritis. So I take a daily arthritis pill, but I'm fully mobile and able to get around.
That's probably because you got that OLD.
Yes, sir, I do.
OLD be hollering at your boy.
That and all those steel decks of ships and submarines for 28 years.
Yeah. Let's see, Jamon. Oh, okay. So cream and a wheat and oatmeal are no-go on a regular basis?
They are. Yeah. So cream of wheat you could do because it's not ground as much as wheat flour is. But oatmeal, that's my breakfast every morning. I take 1 ounce of rolled oats, and again, I go to Whole Foods. I buy it in bulk from their. It's like, matter of fact, I was there today. It's $1.49 a pound, and I get the organic rolled oats, and I measure out 1 ounce. I have a scale. I use digital scale.
Nice.
And oatmeal is great, but again, oats are one of the most polluted grains there is with Roundup or glyphosate. Glyphosate's the active ingredient in the chemical Roundup, the weed killer Roundup, and the company has actually started promoting it to dehydrate the grain at harvest time. So one thing that I learned is a lot of our oats that we consume are grown in Canada, and they, of course, they've got less drying time, shorter days, less drying time to dry out the grain. Grain has to be dried in order to store, or else it would mold. So the Monsanto has actually promoted Roundup to be sprayed on the grain shortly before harvest. That causes it to dry up quicker. It dehydrates it, and then so the farmers are doing that. So
no more cream.
I stay away from it.
Whole oatmeal only?
Yeah, here we have a store called Lidl. It's a German grocery store. They have rolled oats, cheap, organic.
Yes.
Again, you don't have to eat everything organic, but you're better off eating.
Wow.
Amy,
hey, what's up?
Hey.
He said, do you know anything about Jamon says anything about shredded wheat cutting your stomach lining?
I don't know about that.
But you don't eat shredded wheat, though. You're eating whole.
Right. I don't eat shredded wheat. You can eat the cereal shredded wheat, but not put any sugar on it. And you got to make sure you get the one that is not sweetened.
Yeah, that's what I used to eat.
Yeah, I used to too.
Taylor, hey Taylor, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting?
You're the expert there, bro.
Well, Taylor, I'm not an expert. But that is
You're
what I
practitioner.
do. I'm the practitioner. So I never eat, not never. Usually throughout the day, I don't eat till after 4, sometimes 5, and that has just kept my weight off. But not everybody can do that. And I will say it's not easy to start because the first month you're just going to be dying, But now you don't eat anything. I don't even think about it till 4 or 5 o'clock. But yes, that's what I do. Tammy, hey, Charlotte, North Cackalack. What's good for a burst of energy so that I can do a workout? I'm 50. The energy level is dropping.
You are just a youngin'.
Yeah, you ain't nowhere.
You don't need you don't want something for a burst of energy. You really want something for sustained energy. So doing a whole grain like quinoa or I had quinoa for lunch today. That was part of it. Well, you learn to mix things with it. Like here's something that I would do, and I did. This was part of my lunch yesterday. Well, I took 4 ounces of quinoa and I mixed in 2 ounces of peanut butter.
Okay.
And
so it's almost like a texture-y type of.
It was. And I mean, I love peanut butter. Again, I've gone, I go with natural peanut butter, the kind that you buy and you got to stir it up because the oil separates and then you got to store it in the fridge. But you don't get the added hydrogenated oils that are in like some of the commercial brands.
What we love. Tammy, that's a good question. What are some pointers to lose visceral fat on the midsection? Well, you lost all that too, didn't you?
I've had plenty of that.
Let me get it down. Look at that.
It's not, there's no six pack there. Again, I don't get in the gym every day. But if you look at that belly compared to the one that Chris showed a while ago with me on the trampoline with my niece, big old difference. And, if you were to follow up, Tammy, if you were to follow a plan like this, and I'm not saying there are others that are similar. There's like Overeaters Anonymous. There are 12-step programs for food addicts. Again, this is modeled off from some of those, but is really unique in the support that you get with it and continuity.
Amy, Amy got started. Did you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Day one. Congratulations, Amy.
Good for you. Aaron wants to know, do you drink green tea, Smitty?
I do drink green tea. But again, so I grew up, the first time I ordered a
black coffee.
A decaf cold brew.
Oh my God. I'll tell you
black and bitter.
Iced coffee.
Iced coffee. Yeah, this past summer, Chris was like freaking out. He couldn't believe it. But
tell your mouth out.
My mother always drank her coffee black, and she drank her tea unsweetened. That's the way that my taste buds grew up with it. So I don't put any type of sweetener in it.
Unreal.
And I don't use milk in either tea or coffee. If you do, you just have to account for that because it's actually a protein. And if you were using cream, you may have to account for it as part of a fat.
What about Irish and steel cut oatmeal from your mom?
Irish and steel cut oatmeal, awesome.
Yeah. Celeste says Whole Food. All those oats at Whole Foods that you're getting.
I do. I don't get the groats. She's asking, do you get the oat groats?
I don't even know what that is.
That's like the whole oat.
The whole. Oh.
Yeah, I get the rolled oats, but rolled oats, steel cut. I mean, I've never cooked oat groats, so I wouldn't even know how to cook them.
Let me get a groat. That's your boy. I don't even know. You're going next level stuff right there. Taylor, hey, I heard humans are naturally allergic to dairy. Would you still recommend it? So I have a hard part. I've heard the same, and there are a lot of doctors and people out there talking about that. Yep. I
grew up on dairy farms in upstate New York, so I don't drink milk. I will if I'm using milk, it would be some plant-based milk nowadays, or and occasionally, like if we have to cook with something, I will use actual cow's milk. Again, I've gone with organic because the grains that the cows are eating are tainted with Roundup and other chemicals, which then goes to them and then we consume it. And that's something that we don't think about a lot. But that's my personal choice. But I still eat cheese. And as I said, I eat Greek yogurt. I eat Greek yogurt rather than regular yogurt because it's higher protein.
You don't even think about these chemicals coming in, forever chemicals. For the people, I'm going to get to the next question. For the people, Smitty, that think that they have to cut out everything, what can you share with regarding your diet? Because I've seen you eat steak, chicken.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen you eat all this stuff.
Well, so now there's differences in women's portion and men's portion, but I can tell you for a men's portion, I eat a 6 ounce. 6 ounces of protein is a man's serving for any meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The things that you change are salad size, and like the program, and you can tailor it, but you can't be changing. If you're changing all the time, that messes with your brain, because your brain wants to be in an automatic mode.
Don't want to think.
Automaticity, it's called.
Automaticity.
And so
word of the day.
I don't even have to think about what I'm going to have for breakfast, because I have very similar. I know I need 6 ounces of protein. I'm going to need 4 ounces of a cooked grain or a sweet potato. A sweet potato is actually considered a grain because really the carbs, but or you could have rice.
Are you boiling that or steaming that?
I normally roast them. I bake them.
Okay, all right.
And then pop them out of the, store them in the fridge.
Cinnamon
pop
or
them
no
out.
cinnamon?
I use cinnamon. Yep, I like cinnamon. Cardamom sometimes.
Yes.
Use spices because there's no calories. You can use those. You can really
sweet enough for me too.
That.
Cinnamon's sweet enough for me. I want to tell you, I forgot, Taylor, I am on a full supplement too. So I don't want you to think that I'm on, because he gets the nutrients. I'm still on a supplement that I take twice a day, but I don't eat when I'm taking supplements. Smitty, Chris, what up, Monroe? Do you think people still who go vegan or vegetarian are missing out on any nutrients?
Hey, Chris, thanks for that. You can. It depends on what you eat. Now, there are a lot of unhealthy vegetarians out there just because they're eating foods that aren't nutrient dense and, natural. The actual, what do I want to say? Rather than eating a potato, they're eating French fries.
A lot of that going on. I see a lot of
which are deep fried. I don't do fried foods. Again, that's that cuts out a lot of the fat.
Why not?
Because, well, number one, it's not bright line eating stays away from cooking in. I mean, you can, but you gotta account for fat, and that's kind of guesswork then, because how much fat did the food absorb? The French fry or whatever it is that you're frying, the chicken is going to absorb some amount of it.
And I love my
and seafood. Flour. Usually it's coated in flour. But yet, they're vegan and vegetarian. Some can miss out on nutrients. I think B12 is the one that they talk about that they could be needing. But if you watch and you're eating nutrient dense foods, then you're pretty good. But
so if slide some fried in there from
if you go and buy a cupcake and it says that it's vegan, that doesn't mean that it's healthy. It's still a cupcake.
I love it with a lot of foods that they're like gluten free. Like I'm like it never had gluten in it.
Right.
But they're putting gluten. Why are they doing this, Smitty?
Or if it doesn't have actual dairy milk in it or something, or eggs, then they can put vegan. If it has no milk or other animal product, but it uses eggs, it can be vegetarian. A lot of it's just marketing.
It's pathetic. My friend used to say, God's food is quiet and man-made food is always loud.
There you go. I like that.
Round up, get your questions answered. Thank you, Aaron, for telling me about this topic. I felt that this was a topic that I needed, and I'm telling you, because I feel bloated from the sugar. I never understood it. I'm like, I'm not overweight. Why am I so dang bloated?
I remember you talking about that all the time.
Bloated. Why the hell am I bloated? Cut the flour and sugar out. No more bloating. It's truly amazing. And the program, the Bright Line Eating Program Roundup, at the video description below, if you want to get started, like Smitty was, I'm doing it. I'm not there yet. He's still working on me. I'm not there. If you're somebody that needs more information about the Bright Line, that's the second link in the video. Let's see what we get. Killed enzymes. I would mix fruit juice. Oh man. Ice cream.
I use seltzer. I use the flavored seltzers and soda waters.
Good.
But as long as they don't have any kind of a sweetener in them.
final thoughts from my brother Smitty on people that are looking to not only lose weight, get a little healthier, just lose I think a lot of us, I was reading research the other day, a lot of us are just over sugared and floured, period, just because I feel like it's in everything.
It is, and it truly is an epidemic here. I didn't talk about stats, and I hate to quote them if I don't have them written down, but I believe right now the U.S. population, 50% is either overweight or obese. I've been at least overweight ever since I was a teen, and I was definitely, if I were to go by obesity standards, when you see that gut picture on the trampoline, that was probably technically obese.
Wow.
And it's predicted that by 2030, 80% of the U.S. population will be obese.
We're in trouble.
80% obese. That's not just the overweight level. That's 80% will be in the obese category. So
okay, Roundup, you've heard it from the man. You are the research. I'll be telling them that I'm walking around.
Proof. I'm not the research. I'm the proof.
You know the proof, but you can still tell people this is what I did. I mean, it's not like rocket science.
Yes,
you have a step by step, and the bright line leading walks you all the way through that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm so excited.
And like I said, for anybody that joined later, this is a science-backed program. It's led by a psychologist. She founded the program. She is the CEO. Dr. Susan Pierce Thompson, sweetest lady you could ever meet.
Nice.
And so she had, if it's voluntary, but I'm a bright lifer, which means that I'm in the program for life. I'm
bright lifer.
Bright lifer. It's part of there's different steps like anything else, but it's ongoing support and it's ongoing research. And if you volunteer, you can be part of that research. So they track, and there's certain questions. You fill out a questionnaire every month. It's the last weekend of the month I get it and fill it out, where I am on my weight, am I holding? Because a lot of people lose weight, but then they put it right back on. Mm-hmm. And Bright Line Eating has phenomenal statistics for the percentage of people that lose the weight, get to their target, their goal weight, and stay there and maintain it.
Yes.
Which is huge, huge. I mean, yo-yoing that does more damage to you than just being overweight too. Yeah,
I know you mentioned before, you were saying there's phases that I remember you were like at this phase and I'm going to this phase or something like that.
And so I had the weight loss phase and then I transitioned to maintenance phase.
Gotcha.
So, and now, I aired a bit at Christmas time. I sampled some of that NMF, not my food. Because we all have it in the houses, in our homes somewhere. And just that little bit, man, just that little bit, getting a little bit of flour and a little bit of sugar triggered the brain. Some people, they'll throw them right in the ditch. And, like
a crackhead.
Like a crackhead, like an alcoholic that loses sobriety. Same thing can happen with these two substances, sugar and flour. And it made my mind when somebody in Bright Line Eating came up with the term jiggity. My brain was just jiggity and I wasn't calm.
It's terrible.
It was.
Smitty, I'm honored to be able to share this time with you, my brother. Thank you for coming over here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's so important. I'm just like, I see your attitude's different. You're always pleasant and you have a servant. I know you have a servant's heart at the end of the day. What you do.
I try. Yes, sir. Okay. And thank you for joining us. I'm sorry that I held out on you for so many months.
Yeah.
Because Chris really has been trying to get me to talk about it for several months.
I've been begging this guy. Now here he is, y'all. Roundup family. Make sure you take a second to subscribe. Next Monday, we got Papa coming. I'm just busting at the seams. I can't believe that a man, a multi-millionaire would even have to take the time out to hang out with us here at the Roundup. So you better show up for your boy so I don't look crazy next Monday, 2:00.
I will be here.
Yeah, with Papa. And after that, I've got some major players coming on this year. I don't know what happened this month. There's people that have been reaching out. And as we approach 50,000 subscribers, this life is really changing for the Roundup. Wow. Okay, guys, like the content, share with us. What are you doing to cut out your sugar or flour, or what are you doing for your diet as we get into year 2020? Okay, and make sure get registered below if you want to find out more about the Bright Line Eating with Todd, and you'll be actually hooked right into Smitty. They'll be able to, when they join. Are you part of the support?
I'm not an official part of the sport, but I would be glad to give anybody support. And Chris, you can add my email.
Yeah, how do people get in touch with you here, Smitty?
I
put it on the banner.
Let me give you one so that it doesn't get lost with everything else.
You can well, what are you on Facebook or whatever? That's where usually people go.
Well, on Facebook, I'm Todd Smith, but it's like toddsmith.925 because there's a bazillion of us.
On Facebook.
Yeah. Otherwise, my email. Let me give you my email.
Go ahead.
ToddSmith63.
Smith63
at gmail.com.
Gmail.com. There he is.
I'll be able to find that.
Oh,
and I would be glad to give anybody all the support. If you join Bright Life or Bright Line Eating, I would be glad to give you all the support personally that I can give you.
Yeah, I see this man on the phone. He's taking Bright Line calls. I promise you. Taking Bright Line calls from people around the country. I've seen him do it, y'all.
Yep.
My boy.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. All right, Roundup. I'll see you. Well, no doubt I'll be back on this week, but next Monday, 2:00. You better be over here for Ron LeGrand. And we're going to be going to the summit in Vegas. I'm sure he'll be talking about that, but you'll see Smitty and out there in Vegas at the end of March, too.
End of March, first part of April.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. Roundup. Peace.
Peace.